Kurt is not your typical useless protagonist. He's way worse than that, well, at least until he figures out that he possesses incredible hidden skills. The story begins in a distant small town where an S-ranked wolf monster has attacked, and the villagers have spent their life savings on an adventuring party to save their worthless lives. The party is called the Flaming Dragon Fang, consisting of 3 brave adventurers, and, you guessed it, the worthless loser Kurt, who has no business being there, the monster, of course, preys on the weak first and shoves Kurt away from the battlefield. With no more liabilities, the heroes swiftly deal with the threat and subjugate the beast. These 3 competent heroes are Bandana, the ranger, Golnova, the fiery warrior, and Marlefus, the healer. Just after this event, the team goes on to become known as the heroes who stopped a calamity. But what is a powerless loser doing in a team of heroes, you may ask? Well, Kurt actually handles the toughest job of them all, doing the heroes' household chores while they go out to save the world. Basically, he's a housewife. For instance, whenever the heroes are unsatisfied with the food, they make Kurt cook them a better meal. However, this time, Bandana mentions that this will be the last time they'll be having Kurt's cooking, as their leader, Golnova, has decided to fire his worthless ass from the party. Apparently, having cooking skills isn't enough to be part of a reputable party like theirs, and Kurt is so incompetent that he can't even defeat a slime on his own. The heroes have other reasons as well. They want to become stronger, and to do so, they need to recruit a mage, as they lack one in their party. But because the laws of this world restrict them from having more than 4 members in their party, they have no other option but to let Kurt go. Kurt begs Golnova to reconsider, but gets kicked in the gut instead. None of the heroes show him any pity. Rather, they laugh at him. And with that, Kurt is now officially unemployed. Like most of you who comment, bro fell off, and first on my videos. Anyway, with nowhere to go, Kurt heads back to the city looking for work and visits a place called Hello Hello Workstation. There, he is greeted by an eccentric receptionist who collects his personal info and then administers an aptitude test to see how strong he is and whether he has any hidden talents. Typically, the ranking is from SSS to D, but when Kurt's result comes in, it's revealed that he got a score of G in all of the tests he took, meaning he has absolutely no combat skills at all. This is beyond embarrassing, but the receptionist tells Kurt not to worry, as she's certain there are some trade jobs that even a loser like him is capable of doing. Moreover, there are other aptitude tests Kurt can take, like blacksmithing or alchemy, so she encourages him to try those instead of giving up. Unfortunately, the technicians needed for those tests are currently on break, so Kurt will have to wait until next week to take them. Upon learning that the kid needs money now, the receptionist decides to assign him some construction work and sends him to the neighboring town as a worker to help repair the town's boundary walls. Kurt heads off immediately and meets with a recruiter, who is super disappointed that the workstation sent such a malnourished kid to him, but because his team is shorthanded, he doesn't complain much and gives Kurt the task of making cement on the ground and then mending the walls with it. Kurt decides to pour his mana into strengthening the cement, even though the recruiter hasn't mentioned anything regarding that, and starts working. The recruiter returns 3 hours later and is absolutely amazed to learn that Kurt has repaired a whole third of the western wall all by himself. Kurt didn't have any equipment at all, which makes the recruiter wonder how this kid did it. Kurt explains the process, but the recruiter still fails to make any sense of it. Anyway, because Kurt is quite good at this, the recruiter decides to hire him permanently and gives him a good amount of money as payment, saying he got a bonus for his performance. This encourages Kurt to give his best even more. Over the next 3 days, he repairs the west and north walls all by himself, but instead of being impressed, the recruiter becomes irritated and fires him. He explains that the wall repairs are meant to provide work for those struggling financially, and if Kurt keeps working here, there won't be any jobs left for them. The recruiter believes that Kurt has SS rank working skills, so he advises him to find work in the capital instead and sends him away with the day's payment. Kurt doesn't understand whether the recruiter's feedback was genuine or just flattery, so he goes to the workstation, seeking the receptionist's guidance. The technicians still haven't arrived yet, so he'll have to wait a few more days before getting his aptitude test. But a job opportunity comes knocking in the form of a woman named Ulysses, who is desperately in need of a miner. Wait, is that you? Drake. Jokes aside, Kurt approaches Ulysses, claiming that he used to excavate in the mines in the past. Ulysses doesn't want to hire a skinny, helpless child, but at the same time, she doesn't have enough money to hire a brawny dwarf. With limited options, she decides to hire Kurt. As Kurt leaves with Ulysses, the receptionist checks and finds out that Kurt was paid a whopping 200 gold coins by the construction recruiter, leaving her wondering how that is even possible. Losing balance, she stumbles into a pile of sandbags used to measure how much mana a person possesses. Her associate explains that the more mana a person has, the heavier these bags become. But the problem is that no one has ever been capable enough to activate them, so she considers them worthless and tells the receptionist to move them outside. As the receptionist tries to pick up one of the bags, she notices that it has gotten heavier. Remembering that Kurt had lifted one of these earlier, she realizes that he possesses a good amount of mana, maybe too much. Meanwhile, a lot of time passes as Kurt and his employer, Ulysses, travel to the mountains. As the sun sets, Ulysses takes Kurt to her campsite. There is only one tent, so she tells Kurt to share it with her for the night. But Kurt refuses, saying he'll feel uncomfortable staying with a cute lady like her for too long. He even subtly mentions that he's never seen someone as beautiful as her, even after traveling around the world, making her blush like a tomato. She assumes he's just trying to flatter her since she doesn't consider herself cute. Changing the topic, she gives him a boiled potato for dinner. Kurt is surprisingly happy. It has been a long time since anyone has cooked for him, even if it's just boiling a potato. They eat together, and Kurt becomes even happier being treated as an equal, as his ex-party members never used to eat with him. He enjoys Ulysses cooking quite a bit and offers her several compliments. I'm guessing this has something to do with what will happen moments later inside the tent. Later that night, Kurt tries every method known to mankind to sleep, but fails to get any shut-eye at all. He wonders if Ulysses is also awake, so he turns around only to discover that she is fast asleep, with her treasury left wide open. Kurt is shocked by the sight and almost screams out loud before managing to control his emotions. He quickly gets up before things get out of control and wonders if Ulysses is too naive for trusting a stranger. As he steps outside, Ulysses opens her eyes, meaning she was awake the whole time. She then reveals to us that she deliberately didn't put on any clothes to test whether Kurt was the kind of guy who tried to take advantage of her. Now that she has determined he's a good guy, she can spend the entire week with him without any worries. She also mentions that she finds him cute, which makes her want to tease him as well. Lady, are you sure you wanted to hire a miner with an O, or did you mean to hire one with an E? The next morning, Ulysses wakes up, steps out of the tent, and finds Kurt still asleep. Realizing that he was outside in the wild all night, she notices her robe lying nearby with a broken button that has now been fixed, making her wonder if she hired the wrong person for this job because he seems way too much of a pookie to be working as a miner. Anyway, she wakes him up, telling him to get ready as they are going to venture into the mountains again. She also mentions that they need to mine enough to earn at least 10 gold before the weekends. Kurt asks if she has decided where they'll be digging, and she replies that she hasn't yet, but would prefer a location near their campsite. Kurt doesn't think digging randomly is a good idea, as the odds of finding rare ores or any ores at all are extremely low. It seems Ulysses has gotten her mining knowledge from playing Minecraft and doesn't know how things work in the real world. So, Kurt educates her and then takes it it upon himself to find a proper location. After searching the area, Kurt finds a quarry and starts digging. Within a few minutes, he discovers a rock that he claims contains ores. He breaks it using the opposite side of a hammer, revealing several gemstone crystals inside. Each of these crystals can easily sell for around 3 gold. And since there are already more than 4 here, it means Ulysses has already reached her 10 gold goal for the week. But one should never turn away fortune when it knocks. So Ulysses tells Kurt to keep digging. Only a few hours pass before Kurt extracts every single gemstone from the quarry. Ulysses suggests they sell all of them, but Kurt disagrees, telling her that these gemstones are much smaller than the first crystals he extracted. He believes it would be better to turn the smaller ones into magic crystals. From what Ulysses knows, there are fewer than 10 magic craftsmen in the entire kingdom capable of manufacturing magic crystals, and even the smallest one takes over an hour to make. But Kurt does it instantly, leaving Ulysses' jaw on the floor. She points this out to Kurt, but not suspecting he has any special talent. He assumes magic craftsmen use some divine technique to craft magic crystals. Ulysses realizes they are not on the same page at all, but she doesn't bother educating the obvious blockhead and just lets him work peacefully for the rest of the day. In the evening, Ulysses decides to head back to the city to trade the materials Kurt collected, while Kurt suggests staying at the campsite since he wants to handle some household chores. Later, in the city, Ulysses is interrogated by the knights because she doesn't have any verified documents proving where she got the magic crystals from, making her look suspicious. Not wanting to snitch on Kurt, Ulysses plays her hidden card, showing an emblem to the knight, revealing that she's an adventurer who serves directly under the royal family when in reality, she used to serve under them. Regardless, she uses this privilege to convince the knight to let her use a teleportation gate, as she wants to visit the royal capital urgently. Upon arriving, Ulysses visits a store to sell the magic crystals and learns from the shopkeeper that these have 10 times the usual amount of mana imbued in them, making each one worth 10 gold. In total, Ulysses earns 500 gold for selling all of them. Before she leaves, the shopkeeper advises her not to sell these anywhere else, as others might scam her. She also inquires about the craftsman who made them, believing that someone with this level of skill should be working directly for the kingdom. But Ulysses, unwilling to reveal Kurt's identity without his permission, refuses to answer. The shopkeeper doesn't back down and orders her as a royal court mage to reveal who the craftsman is. But Ulysses still refuses, so the shopkeeper makes her a final offer. They want to make Kurt a director and an honorary count for the kingdom. Left completely bewildered, Ulysses rushes to the workstation, slamming her hands on the counter and demanding answers from the receptionist. Who the heck is this guy? Abusing her authority, Ulysses pulls Kurt's past information from the receptionist and cannot believe her eyes when she sees that he got a G rank in his aptitude test. Regardless, she hands over the 500 gold to the receptionist, instructing her to deposit it into Kurt's account. Before leaving, she also forbids her from revealing any information about Kurt to anyone. Ulysses then heads back to the campsite, only to find that Kurt has somehow transformed the entire place into a farmhouse in just under a day. Seriously, who the heck is this guy? Meanwhile, Golnova's party is out in the wilderness for the very first time after kicking Kurt out of their team, and it seems they've already met their match. None of their performance hits as hard as it used to, and I'm starting to think Kurt the useless loser had been unknowingly carrying them all along. With the healer Marlefus suddenly unable to heal anyone due to a strange lack of mana, Golnova turns to his newly hired mage, ordering him to use a fire spell or something against the tree monster, but the newbie pushes back, claiming Golnova is the one who's supposed to handle fire magic. As the whole party starts barking at each other, Bandana stands silently in the back, smirking like a classic villain, feeling absolutely thrilled that this team is now as good as dead. On the other side, Ulysses relays her oddities shopkeeper friend Mimico's offer to Kurt, telling him that Mimico, using her authority as a royal court mage, has recommended him for the position of director at a royal magic technology research lab. Kurt finds the offer hard to believe, and even if it's true, he turns it down, as he simply can't imagine himself in a role that puts someone like him above others. Besides, a part of him still longs to return to his ex-adventuring party, the Flaming Dragon Fang. On top of that, his current job as a miner under Ulysses is going well, so he doesn't see any reason to change. Gotta admit, bro might not be useless, but damn, he's brainless as heck. Anyway, Ulysses doesn't tell Kurt just how much gold she made from selling the magic crystals, and instead encourages him to mine some more ores for her. Kurt claims to have found another good vein nearby and gets up to leave, but Ulysses stops him, insisting he stay in and rest, assuming he stayed up all night building the log house. However, when Kurt casually mentions that he already slept 6 hours, Ulysses is left speechless. She just can't fathom how this guy managed to build that entire structure in such a short amount of time. Naturally, Kurt completely misreads her worried expression and assumes she's mad at him for oversleeping, so he promises to make it up to her for upsetting her. A few minutes later, Kurt takes Ulysses to the new mining spot, and after explaining his other plan to dig around the area where he discovered the large crystal the day before, he leaves her there to dig the area on her own. After mining all day, Ulysses finally finds a single ore and becomes overjoyed, thinking that if Kurt turns it into a magic crystal, she could sell it for over 10 gold and meet her quota. Yet at the same time, she doesn't want to take advantage of him, and perhaps that's why she hasn't touched a single penny of the 500 gold they earned from selling the crystals the day before. As the day winds down, she goes to check on Kurt, expecting to find the place in chaos, but she's completely floored to see that he's actually built a proper mining site. She steps into the mines, finally accepting that Kurt's been using cheat codes to get through life. But even then, she can't hold back her emotions after seeing how far he's gone beyond expectations. She asks him how his day's been, and he, in reply, claims to have underperformed today, stating that he's only mined tiny fragments of the ore he was looking for. He also shows her what he claims is a pile of useless shiny rocks, which he thinks aren't valuable. But as Ulysses realizes that all of these stones are mithril ores, she asks Kurt if he's out of his mind or something. Kurt states that back in his village, they used to harvest tons of mithril, but didn't have any real use for it, so they threw it away every time. Ulysses cannot fathom what kind of weird, dumb village Kurt is from, but she's more into the mithril he's mined, as these ores are far more valuable than gold or even platinum. Apparently, mithril ores are extremely rare in this world, but Ulysses doesn't have the energy to educate this blockhead about it. She recalls Kurt mentioning mining something much more valuable than mithril, which he deemed useless, so she asks him what ore in particular he's been looking for. Kurt nonchalantly reveals that he's been mining orichalcum, a legendary ore that is known as the metal of the gods. She just can't take Kurt's shit anymore, demanding he explain how he's able to find these with such ease. Kurt, the gamer boy, tells her that if she digs 7 kilometers into the ground, the chances of finding orichalcum are very high. At this point, Ulysses doesn't even want to know or ask Kurt how he dug 7 kilometers in just under a day and also came back up to the surface. With her hand on her head, she only inquires about the huge hole he dug, and he responds by saying that he's already filled that hole, knowing how dangerous it is. With that, the oddball and the lucky lady end their day at the mining site. After 2 more days of continuous mining, Kurt's week-long job comes to an end. The mine Kurt created is made so perfectly that it created a straight path from Kurt's city, Samalia, to the feudal lord's town. I might have missed it, but Ulysses apparently owns the mountains, and since the mining path is technically hers to have, she gives permission to the traveling merchant guild to use the path through it in return for a small maintenance fee, deciding to use that money to pay her taxes. Might seem selfish, but since she has given all the money she got from the ores to Kurt's account, it's okay. Kurt returns to the city and runs into Bandana, who tells him that she is no longer a member of the Flaming Dragon Fang. Long story short, Golnova went mad after suffering from consecutive losses and created a ruckus everywhere. He wanted Kurt back as his unofficial slave so he he could vent his frustration on him, and even threatened to hurt Bandana if she didn't bring him back to him. But instead of doing what she was told to, Bandana got Golnova arrested and left the party. However, Bandana doesn't tell Kurt all that, and goes with the story that she got fired by Golnova just like Kurt was. Kurt is let down hearing this news. He tells Bandana that he admires Golnova and owes him a lot, and that he really wanted to reunite with his old party members. So now that Bandana is fired as well, he doesn't think it will be possible anymore. I'm not entirely sure, but it really looks like Bandana is just as bad as her other party members, and that she too wants to abuse poor innocent Kurt as well. In the matter of seconds, she convinces him to take on her guild commission, and sends him to the workshop of an Atelier Meister. Basically, Ateliers are workshops that make and sell magical medicines, swords and devices, with the head of an Atelier being called an Atelier Master. These people are very important in the town and are highly regarded. While on his way to the house, Kurt is surprised that someone as important as an Atelier would exist in this city. Shortly after, he arrives at the house belonging to the Atelier Master, and wonders why it is so modest. Just then, he knocks on the door and a young girl opens it. On seeing her, he wonders if someone as young as her could possibly be the Atelier Master. However, she is surprised that he would be so dumb not to realize that she was just an elf. After that, he formally asks if she is the one he seeks, and she states that she is just an assistant named Michelle. Without wasting much time, he reveals that he was the person sent to help, and she happily takes him into the house. He assumes that he had been sent here to help in the Atelier, but it turns out that he would be doing the dishes and cleaning up the kitchen. As disappointed as he was, he accepts his fate. At that moment, Michelle gets called by her master, and she leaves him to get to work. He gets up in his work gear, and in a brief moment, gets done with the cleaning. After tidying up the place, the dummy is not wise enough to bail out and get his cash. Instead, he looks around for Michelle and ends up knocking at a door at the end of the hallway. A lady's voice is heard from within, and he opens it to find Princess Lyslot there. Although he doesn't seem to know who she is, the loser finds this weird since he probably hasn't seen someone as beautiful as her. Upon looking closely at her, he notices a weird spiral wound on her stomach. When he asks about it, he reveals that it's a curse. He asks to be allowed to take a closer look at it, and she agrees. At that moment, he touches it and figures that she can't feel pain from it. Fortunately, when he heals her stomach rumble, he figures that her appetite is still intact and offers to make something for her to eat. When he gets back to the kitchen, it dawns on him that the lady he had just touched was in her creation attire. The shock causes him to fall to the ground in shame. Elsewhere, Mimiko and Ulyssia talk about the mithril and orichocum they found, and the fact that it is very costly. They wonder what would happen if word got out about Kurt, and Mimiko believes that the worst case would be that he would get kidnapped. They wonder how someone with such abilities as him has successfully remained hidden for this long. However, Ulyssia understands that he was a member of the Flaming Dragon Fang. Soon after, she also claims that she wants to set him up as an Atelier Master in order to have his skills fixed before he gets out of hand. Furthermore, she states her plan to have him hire her as his bodyguard, although she is worried about how she will achieve that since Kurt has little knowledge of his full abilities and always thinks less of himself. Meanwhile, Kurt is almost done with the food he is cooking for Lyslot when Mitchell returns with Lady Ophelia. On seeing them, he apologizes for using the kitchen without her permission, but she doesn't seem to have a problem with it. Instead, he looks closely at the porridge he is cooking, and he reveals that he is making it for the strange girl he had met in the room. Hearing him say this, Lady Ophelia is surprised that he has met the princess, even though she makes him believe it's not a problem. She threatens him not to speak about her to anyone. After that, she hands him his pay for the day, and he is so thrilled by how much he made. Later on, he takes some porridge to the princess, who is very hungry at this time, considering how her stomach grumbles again before the princess could eat. Lady Ophelia offers to taste the food for any poison, but Lyslot asks to be allowed to eat it like that since she trusted the man who cooked it, even though she only just met him. Some love at first sight moves in the works, not wanting to go against the princess. Lady Ophelia agrees and lets her eat it. However, when the princess takes a bite, she holds her neck and falls off the chair, causing Lady Ophelia to believe that she has indeed been poisoned. Just before she could run out for help, Princess Lyslot gets up to reveal that she is fine. At that moment, they soon realize that the weird spiral on the princess' stomach has disappeared. This meant that her curse had been cured. On the other hand, the evil people responsible for casting a curse on the princess have figured out that the curse has been broken. Due to this, they resort to ice-skating her immediately. Meanwhile, later that night, Lady Ophelia and the princess go to meet Mimiko. When they get there, they find her with Ulyssia, and Lady Ophelia is skeptical about saying what she wants in front of her. However, Mimiko assures her that Ulyssia can be trusted. Just then, the princess reveals herself, and the two get on their knees immediately. They wonder why the princess has come to a place like this since she was rumored to be sick. But Lady Ophelia reveals that the princess was placed under a curse by people who had tried to assassinate her. She reveals that these people are against the peace that could come from the princess' existence. Amidst all this, Mimiko wonders how the princess was able to break such a powerful curse, and the princess excitedly reveals that she got help from a man named Kurt. The sound of this name shocks Mimiko and Ulyssia to the bones. Although it can't be left out of the equation, Ulyssia still can't believe that Kurt's simple porridge was enough to break Princess Lysolet's powerful curse. The fact that Kurt got himself involved in all of this in less than a day since they've been apart makes Ulyssia even more shocked. Moving on, Mimiko has her eyes on a few suspects she believes could be behind the plot to assassinate Princess Lysolet. Since the attack came in the form of a curse, Mimiko has deduced that the culprit must be capable of tampering with the anti-curse wards placed throughout the royal palace. And according to her insider information, there are 3 people who could pull off something like that. The first suspect is Sanova Ristkatz, the first general of the Royal Expeditionary Forces. The second is a man who looks like he's lived off nothing but McDonald's his whole life, Tristan Mainoff, the bishop of the Poland Church. And lastly, the third is Isidora Arkmama, the third queen of the kingdom. Ophelia gives her opinion on Tristan, suggesting that if he's the culprit, he might have used his devoted followers to tamper with the wards on Lysolet's room. On the other hand, Lysolet suspects her stepmother, the third queen, claiming that she has the freedom to wander the palace at any time and could have easily slipped in unnoticed. However, neither of them suspect General Sanova, since he has no magical abilities. But Ulyssia disagrees, pointing out that Sanova has deep ties with the Thieves Guild, a group known for gathering inside information. He could have used their help to mess with the wards, with no clear way to narrow down the culprit. Ophelia suggests they set a trap by creating a fake Atelier, a workshop that will be run by a fake Atelier Meister. As it turns out, Lysolet has just turned 15, which, in this world, makes her an adult. By tradition, she must now leave the palace to train for a year. So, Ophelia plans to send her to this fake Atelier, and they'll make it public knowledge that she'll be training there. Eventually, the culprit will try to harm her again, but before they can make a move, they'll first need to gather information about the Atelier Meister. To prevent that, they need someone who essentially doesn't exist, someone nobody knows anything about. This way, the culprit will be forced to dig deep, trying again and again to learn about the Meister. In doing so, they'll inevitably leave traces behind, clues that Ophelia and the others can use to identify them. The only issue now is who should they choose to play the Atelier Meister. Ulyssia already has the perfect guy in mind. She shows Ophelia the top-grade magic crystal that Kurt crafted, instantly making everyone realize that not only is he perfect for the role, but he's kinda overqualified as well. The next day, Kurt heads to Ophelia's workshop, only to find it closed for some reason. Michelle arrives shortly after and tells him that her master, Ophelia, along with the princess, went out yesterday. She advises Kurt to come back the next day. Kurt, being the insecure, confidence-lacking loser that he is, assumes he must have done something to make Ophelia shut down the shop. And while he's technically not wrong, the real reason isn't exactly what he's thinking. With nothing else to do, Kurt heads to a restaurant, where he overhears a group of adventurers discussing a dilemma they're stuck in. They've accepted a quest that requires a porter, which they don't have, and they can't cancel the quest because they don't have the money to pay the cancellation fees. Desperate for a job, Kurt approaches the group and offers to be their porter, warning them in advance that he's absolutely terrible at combat. Sina, the girl in the group, takes one look at this weak-looking brat and immediately turns him down, saying he's not fit to be a porter. But her older brother Kans, the heavy-geared guy, decides to give Kurt a chance and tells him more about the job. Apparently, Apparently, they're planning to hunt iron golems monsters that weigh over 440 pounds. So yeah, they need someone with serious physical strength to carry that kind of load as a porter. Kurt claims he can handle that weight with no problem and, to prove it, casually lifts both Danzo the samurai and Kane the tank like they're bags of flour. Seriously? And this dude says he's bad at fighting? Bro can literally pick up monsters and eat them into the sky. Anyway, his demonstration earns him applause from the restaurant crowd and the porter job. Soon after, the group sets out, and on the way, Kurt is formally introduced to everyone. Their kind and wholesome interactions catch him off guard in a good way. He's never been treated so warmly before, and it motivates him to give it everything he's got. They eventually reach the area where the iron golems reside. But before anything serious happens, Kurt steps on a slime, and his reaction? Screaming like a toddler seeing their first horror movie. Cena tells him to stop overreacting and just stab the slime's core. But Kurt's aim, having lack of better words to describe it, is so shit that he stabs himself with a knife instead. This makes Cena realize that this guy isn't just bad at combat, he's terrible. She finishes off the slime for him, but surprisingly, she doesn't get mad, neither does Danzo or Cans. Instead, they just grow more alert, clearly ready to protect him from danger. Kurt can't believe he didn't get scolded or smacked around for messing up, and slowly, he begins to realize that maybe his last party really were just awful people. Anyway, they head into the lair of the golems. Cena spreads luminous moss all around to light up the place. Kurt finds goblin poop nearby, which means the cave isn't just home to golems, there are goblins lurking too. Cans tells Kurt not to worry, saying they can handle a few goblins no problem. They go deeper into the cave, which starts looking more and more like a dungeon. Kurt notices something strange about the walls, but before he can investigate, a goblin shows up. Danzo instantly slices it down with samurai precision, but the sound draws a whole horde of goblins straight toward them. Cena realizes they don't stand a chance in a direct fight. Their best option is to run. But while they're panicking, Kurt, who had been inspecting the walls, finds a secret passage. He quickly informs the group, and he and Cena dash inside. Just as they get through, Cena shuts the door, leaving Cans and Danzo on the other side. The two had made their decision to stay behind to hold off the goblins so Kurt and Cena could escape. Cena keeps trying to find a way for them to leave, but she hears the voice of Danzo and Cans telling them that there are so many goblins there and there is no way they can escape trying to protect them. Cans screams that they should leave. There isn't a doubt that Kurt knows he is physically weak. However, he doesn't think he is a coward. He screams and says they should allow them to join the fight, but Cena looks at him ridiculously, reminding him he can't even fight a slime. What good will he do to the team if he stays with them then make them lose the fight? He feels discouraged. As a dummy who usually thinks low of himself, this indeed makes him feel lower. Well, it isn't like Cena isn't right. They just helped him kill a slime some minutes ago. He overhears Danzo and Cans saying that even if they die, they know they had died while protecting others. This gives him joy. I mean, someone thinks he is a friend, and they can die protecting him. He wonders why they think he is a friend, and he is happy. Cena tries to find a way out of the wall for them, and as she sprays her magic, it reveals 3 different iron dragon golem. She falls on her ass immediately. Does this mean this is where we will all die? While in the glimpse of death, Lyslot and Ulycia are out there looking for him. Lyslot on her part is excited to see the man who gave her life back, and they enter the guild. They are shocked to find out that he has followed the security team to fight. Ulycia knows the particular mountain they have entered is going to be filled with several goblins, and there is little or no probability of survival for them. She tells Lyslot to stay back and let her go and find him, but Lyslot refuses. Why will she let go of an opportunity to be the savior of someone who saved her too? She rushes with Ulycia to the mountain, even trying her best to look through the footsteps to find out where exactly he is in the mountain. When the steps on the rocks finish, she uses her long sense to figure out his scent on the mountain. This leaves Ulycia with just one thought: for Lyslot to know his scent. Does that mean they have been close to themselves? I really won't say she is wrong. He saw her naked body. As the two girls search for them, Cena remains on the floor giving her final words. Those kinds of statements you say when you know your death is imminent. She apologizes to Kurt for dragging him into the adventure, but Kurt wonders why she is that emotional. He tells her there's nothing too big there and they can just clear their way and leave. Clear which way? With the golems around, without answering her, he jumps right into action. Using his skills, he hits the tail of the first golem. Then it is back, and wow, the golem is down. I can imagine the thoughts in Cena's mind right now. Isn't this the same boy I killed a slime for? With one dagger, he completely finishes them all. When Cena expresses her shock while sitting flat on the floor, he dismisses it, claiming it isn't a big achievement. He is only used to killing them because he minds them. Not only is this boy a fool, but it seems he lacks good self-esteem too. Well, despite being ignorant of himself, he is very self-aware of others. Amid Cena's shock, Ulycia kicks the wall and enters. I'm sure she hoped to be their savior, but how will she save someone that had saved himself? She looks in awe as Cena says all that has happened. Kurt comes out from the midst of the dead golems, holding Ulycia tight and begging her to save Danzo and Cans. He claims the only reason they are in that mess is that he is useless. If he is the definition of useless, then I may want to be useless too. Seeing all he has done, Ulycia remembers the myth she had heard about a particular S-rank adventurer. She wonders if this is the adventurer they had all he waiting for. Lyslot also comes there and her face lights up just by seeing him. They reassure him that Danzo and Cans are fine, and he doesn't have to worry. The entire team meets and Danzo and Cans appreciate Ulycia for coming to save them. Ulycia reveals her real intention. She intends to open a new Atelier, and she wants Kurt to work with her. She knows that Kurt wouldn't believe he is that good, and may want to reject the offer, so she quickly chips in that he was recommended by Ophelia. He feels great to accept, but he doesn't want to leave the new team he has joined. Kans's scream brings him back to reality. Kans asks why he will leave such awesome opportunity to remain with them. Seeing that he feels familiar with the team, Ulycia offers the others an opportunity to join the Atelier too. Before leaving, she tells Kurt that he hasn't measured his ability, and since he is to join the Atelier, they have to measure his ability. While the security team leaves to celebrate their new appointment, Kurt meets Mimiko for his testing. Mimiko is excited to be the one to test him, and she expresses this. After the testing ends, Ulycia comes to ask for the result. To be honest, I am also excited to hear this result. And yes, it is exactly what everyone has been thinking. While the normal result shows he is B ranked in cooking, cleaning, and mining, and C rank in the other skills, the Hello World ranking, which shows S rank adventurers, reveal his true rank. He is SSS rank in all the skills and powers. In fact, in his magic, he ranks higher than Mimiko. Mimiko admits that if any other person hears his skills, he will be at risk. He may even be killed. So it is best they keep it from everyone. I don't think they have to be worried about that because even the dummy boy isn't aware of how strong he is. Regardless, Kershal overhears this great result and closes her ears tightly. It shouldn't be heard that she is aware of such deadly information. I am excited to see what the future holds Kurt. I hope he becomes self-aware one day.